Hey guys, it's LSuperSonicQ here, back for another Lost Media video. So today's topic takes us to the Lost Media Wiki forums, and to a thread that was posted back in April, but it didn't get a lot of discussion at all actually. Though the topic is pretty interesting, so I wanted to cover it in like a full video. So the title of this thread is called Castle in the Sky Alternate Ending. So for anyone who doesn't know, Castle in the Sky is a really iconic Japanese film from Studio Ghibli, who I'm sure a lot of you guys know from Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro. But Castle in the Sky is also one of their more iconic works, and a lot of people are familiar with it, and it's a really good movie. So this thread proposes the idea that there is an alternate ending to this very iconic, very classic movie, which might be surprising to hear. But this is what the story sort of goes like. So this thread discusses the source of this rumor, and it goes back to this Japanese tweet. This tweet pretty much says that this guy, Video VHS, has been searching for this apparent lost ending to Castle in the Sky for a really long time. Now, these pictures, appeared on a Japanese social media site called Mixi around 10 years ago, so 2010, and since then, no one has been able to figure out where they came from, how they relate to Castle in the Sky, or really anything about them. All we can tell is that they are from Castle in the Sky because of the way that the characters are drawn and whatnot, but they don't represent what's in the final film. Now, these pictures themselves are sort of, well, obviously they're really, really grainy. These were posted back in 2010, according to this tweet, but that was probably not the time that they were taken. These could have been taken even earlier than that, and I'm guessing they were because they're so grainy and low quality, but it looks like they were taken off of a TV or some kind of off-screen, video. This isn't like a clean rip or anything. But like I said, we don't know really how this relates to Castle in the Sky or anything like that. We just know that it's different content from what's present in the movie, and we don't know the origin of these photos. And that's pretty much it. So this thread goes on to say that he believes this is from an alternate ending of the movie. And he's sort of trying to prove that by collecting VHS tapes, which is what he mentions in these tweets. So something interesting about Castle in the Sky is that apparently it airs in Japan every year. It's sort of like a tradition, I guess. And what this guy is trying to do is track down a VHS recording of those broadcasts from 1988, which was its first year of broadcast, to like the early 2000s, so that time frame, because he believes that this particular alternate ending was aired at some point in one of those broadcasts over that period of time. Now, that's a really interesting theory, and he's actually made a little bit of progress in this endeavor. This thread mentions that, the guy was able to get the 3rd, 7th, and 8th broadcast, but the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are still missing. So that poses the question, do you think that the alternate ending to Castle in the Sky was shown in one of those broadcasts that this guy doesn't have, or is this something completely different and there is no alternate ending, it doesn't really exist at all? So he goes on to state that if you can find evidence that proves this alternate ending exists, you will get yourself a nice $500, and if you can find that recording with the commercials included, assuming that this was aired on TV, you can get yourself $700, which is a pretty cool prize, I must say, for this kind of like VHS search. However, I have my own suspicions about this particular theory that it was aired on TV and that we gotta find a VHS tape. My theory is that this is actually from a pitch pilot for the movie. It's not going to be in a broadcast on TV. It may have been shown at a special convention or maybe behind closed doors or something like that. So the reasoning behind my theory kind of comes from what I know about how, cartoons and things like that are kind of created. And this also has to do with the origin of Studio Ghibli. So a lot of people think that Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind was the first Studio Ghibli film, and it's sort of grouped in with the rest of their films because, Miyazaki worked on it and whatnot. But that film was actually created before Studio Ghibli officially formed, so technically it's not really a Studio Ghibli film because the studio didn't exist when it was made. Now, The same year that Nausicaa was made, there was another film that was being planned by, Miyazaki and all them, and it was called Little Nemo. Now, the curious thing about Little Nemo is that it was never actually made. The project was scrapped. However, a pilot for the film was actually produced, which you can see right here. Now, how does this apply to Castle in the Sky? Well, a year after the Little Nemo pilot was created and then the movie was scrapped, Studio Ghibli formed in 1985. And Castle in the Sky was actually Studio Ghibli's first film, releasing in 1986. But curiously, a second Little Nemo pilot existed and was made right after Castle in the Sky. And you can see that one on YouTube too. So my theory is that this is actually not from an alternate ending of Castle in the Sky, but rather a pitch pilot that was made when Studio Ghibli was sort of gearing up to create their first film. This was sort of like the pitch to that first film. So piloting films was very relevant during this era of Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki and all them. Not to mention that there have been quite a few Japanese pilots as well, including, just to name a few, the Lupin the Third pilot, which, again, this was a pilot before it was picked up into being an actual series, and more recently the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood pilot. So there are pilots that exist, and taking all things into consideration, that's what I believe this is. Now, of course, the question is, even if this is a pilot, how is this going to get found? It seems almost impossible considering the movie is so old and Studio Ghibli is very protective of their work and whatnot. So I don't think this would be as easy as just like messaging someone and they're going to release it. Things were a lot different 20 years ago. Who knows who could have got their hands on what? I would be surprised if it was an alternate ending or if it actually was like shown on TV. That just seems kind of unlikely. Maybe this could have been shown in some kind of like anniversary special commemorating Studio Ghibli or the film itself. But I thought that was a really, really cool mystery, and it's kind of surprising that this thread didn't get any discussion to begin with. But yeah, for now, I think the alternate ending or pitch pilot, whichever way you want to look at it, to Castle in the Sky will definitely remain a mystery until we can get some more information on just that. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other game-related Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.